utilization. Definitely when there are going to be more number of parts, the workload can be shared by the several parts and the I/O performance will improve. So in practice, merely configuring multi-paths does not serve the purpose. Even with multi-paths, if one path fails, I/O will not reroute unless the system recognizing that it has an alternate path. So multipathing software provides the functionality to recognize and utilize alternate I/O paths to data. So multipathing software also manages the load balancing by distributing I/Os to all available active paths. So there has to be a software which will take care of this and inform the path that there is another alternate path existing and the data can be transferred through that alternate path. So this information is given to the system using this software. So unless and until the software is provided, load balancing cannot be done. Now what do we mean by business impact analysis? A business impact analysis identifies and evaluates financial, operational and service impacts of a disruption to essential business processes. Selected functional areas are evaluated to determine resilience of the infrastructure to support information availability. The business impact analysis process leads to a report detailing the incidents and their impact over business functions. The impact may be specified in terms of money or in terms of time. Based on the potential impacts associated with downtime, businesses can prioritize and implement countermeasures to mitigate the likelihood of such disruptions. These are detailed in the BC plan. A business impact analysis identifies the key business processes critical to its operation. It also determines the attributes of the business process in terms of applications, databases, and hardware and software requirements. It estimates the cost of failure for each business process. It also calculates the maximum tolerable outage and defines RTO and RPO for each business process. Establish the minimum resources required for the operation of business processes. So determine recovery strategies and the cost for this recovery. All this is to be done in business impact analysis. So what do you mean by RTO and RPO, which we have discussed in the previous class? RTO is how much a system can endure what? Downtime. RTO is the amount of downtime a system can endure and RPO is the amount of data loss a system can or a business can endure. So you must know the difference between these two terminologies. Business continuity planning process. Now what is this planning process? Identifying the critical business functions, collecting data on various business processes within those functions. Then business impact analysis includes risk analysis. The risk analysis with respect to assessing, prioritizing, mitigating and managing risk, designing and developing contingency plan and disaster recovery plan, testing, training and maintenance. Backup and replication, local replication. Data from the production devices is copied to replica devices within the same array. So you should know what do we mean by local replication. Local replication is the data is going to be copied to replicate devices within the same array. The replicas can then be used for restore operations in the event of data corruption or other events. Why this local replication is needed is when there is some data corruption, then this particular data which is replicated on the device can be used for restoring the operations in the event of data corruption or other events. Then remote replication. Data from the production devices is copied to replica devices on a remote array. In the event of a failure, applications can continue to run from the target device. Then backup and restore. What do we mean by backup and restore? Backup to tape has been a predominant method. Backup to tape has become a predominant method because tape is more cheaper compared to the disk. So therefore, whenever the device which is going to be used as a backup for backup technology is always preferred device is tape. But tape has some limitations because of which the people prefer to use the disk. So this completes the lesson about business continuity. So next chapter we will be studying about backup and recovery in detail. So here we have not seen in detail what do we mean by backup and what do we mean by recovery of the data. So let us continue with the next topic, backup and recovery, which is a continuation of the fourth unit itself. In fourth unit, we are going to consider all the business continuity plans. So we'll have to see in this chapter what all you will be able to do. You will be able to describe the backup and recovery considerations. You will be able to describe backup recovery operations, also describe backup technologies and backup topologies. So we are going to describe all these things in this chapter. So let us first understand what do we mean by what is backup. What is a backup? Backup is an additional copy of data that can be used for restore and recovery purposes. So the backup copy is used when the primary copy is lost or corrupted. This backup copy can be created by simply copying data. There can be one or more copies. And mirroring data, the copy is always updated with whatever is written to the primary copy. Mirroring data is, it is going to be done continuously, that is the data is going to be copied continuously onto the device. Whenever a small change even occurs in the device, then immediately it is going to be copied and written to another location. So that is going to be called as mirroring, which happens in RAID technology. That is, entire data is going to have duplicate copy of the data, so that becomes mirroring the data. So a backup is a copy of production data created and retained for the sole purpose of recovering deleted or corrupted data. With growing business and regulatory demands for data storage, retention and availability, organizations are faced with the task of backing up an ever-increasing amount of data. The task becomes more challenging as demand for consistent backup and quick restore of data increases throughout the enterprise, which may be spread over multiple sites. Moreover, organizations need to accomplish backup at a lower cost with minimum delay. So that is going to be a challenge for the organizations to maintain the backup at a lower cost. With minimum, organizations must replication of the data. So organizations must ensure that the right data is in the right place at the right time. That is very important. The right data has to be at the right place at the right time. If it is not available when it is required, then that replica of the data is of no use. So evaluating backup technologies, recovery and retention requirements for data and applications is an essential step to ensure successful implementation of the backup and recovery solution. The solution must facilitate easy recovery and retrieval from backups and archives as required by the business. This chapter includes details about the purposes of backup, strategies for backup and recovery operations, backup methods and the backup architecture and backup media. So here we are going to understand what is the purpose of backup, and also we have to understand the strategies for backup and the recovery operations, backup methods, the backup architecture and the backup media. Backup purpose, let us see what is the backup purpose. So backups are performed to serve three purposes. What are the main important purposes for backup? Disaster recovery, operational backup and archival. These are the three reasons. Disaster recovery, whenever there is any unplanned disaster occurs and the data gets lost, you must be in a position to get the data what is already corrupted or lost. So that is disaster recovery. Operational backup. So whenever you are processing the data and if you are not able to access the data immediately, or if there is any fault, single point failure at any given time, then that should not affect the business. So therefore, operational backup has to be always maintained, and archival, that is, now what happens is, suppose in a college we need to present all the data what is there of the students who have studied in the college for 7 years. So what happens is, whenever new students take the admission in the college, we have to archive the data of the previous year who have already graduated from the college. So that data which is of the previous year students, that becomes the archive data which has to be maintained, and we will have to produce it whenever the committee visits the college for recognizing the degree or recognizing the college. So that's why archival data also has to be maintained. Disaster recovery. Now let us see what do we mean by disaster recovery. Backups can be performed to address disaster recovery needs. The backup copies are used for restoring data at an alternate site when the primary site is incapacitated due to a disaster. So now what happens is, in disaster recovery, if an earthquake occurs in one particular part of the country, the entire data has to be replicated in some other part of the country from where you can copy it and get the result. So therefore, we say that the backup copies are used for restoring data at an alternate site when the primary site is incapacitated due to a disaster. So therefore, backups are very important in case of disaster recovery. Based on RPO and RTO requirements, organizations use different backup strategies for disaster recovery. So it has to be how the backup strategies are used based on the RPO and RTO requirements of the organization. So we know for how long the business can sustain the loss of data or how long they can sustain the downtime. So that is based on that we are going to design the different backup strategies for the organization or for disaster recovery. When a tape-based backup method is used as a disaster recovery strategy, the backup tape media is shipped and these tapes can be recalled for restoration at the disaster recovery site. So what happens is, if you have used backup strategy as using the tape, you are going to copy everything in the tape and these tapes will be stored in some other location. So therefore, whenever there is some disaster occurs, you have to ship all these tapes from that location to this location for restoration at the disaster recovery site. Then organizations with stringent RPO and RTO requirements use remote replication technology to replicate data to a disaster recovery site. This allows organizations to bring up production systems online in a relatively short period of time in the event of a disaster. Operational backup. Data in the production environment changes with every business transaction and operation. Operational backup is a backup of data at a point in time and is used to restore data in the event of data loss or logical corruptions that may occur during routine processing. The majority of restore requests in most organizations fall in this category. For example, it is common for a user to accidentally delete an important email or for a file to become corrupted, which can be restored from operational backup. So operational backup is when the data in the production environment changes with every business transaction and operation. Operational backup is a backup of data at a point in time and is used to restore data in the event of data loss or logical corruptions that may occur during routine processing. The operational data is going to go on changing whenever any operation occurs in the business or in the system. So therefore, at every point of time the data is going to be different. That operational data is going to vary every point of time. Now suppose if an application is a railway ticket booking application, as soon as the booking opens, there are going to be thousands of requests for booking the ticket. So suppose if the same seat is booked by more than one person, then you know that a chaos is going to occur, and if the backup is not maintained, that is which person has booked the ticket before first, that should be made very clear. So in such cases, the operational backup becomes very important. The majority of restore requests in most organizations fall in this category. For example, it is common for a user to accidentally delete an important email or for a file to become corrupted, which can be restored from operational backup. Operational backups are created for the active production information by using incremental or differential backup techniques, detailed later in this chapter. So we will be detailing about this operational backup later. An example of an operational backup is a backup performed for a production database just before a bulk batch update. This ensures the availability of a clean copy of the production database if the batch update corrupts the production database. So here this is an example of operational backup. Archives. What do we mean by archives? Backups are also performed to address archival requirements. Although the content address storage has emerged as the primary solution for archives, traditional backups are still used by records, email messages, and other business records required for regulatory compliance. That's what I told you. That is why the data needs to be archived. Apart from addressing disaster recovery, archival and operational requirements, backups serve as a protection against data loss due to physical damage of a storage device, software failures, or virus attacks. These are another requirements of backup, you can say. That is software failures or storage device damage or virus attacks. Backups can also be used to protect against accidents such as a deletion or intentional data destruction. Backup considerations. What are the backup considerations? So let us see what are the backup considerations. The amount of data loss and downtime that a business can endure in terms of RTO and RPO are the primary considerations in selecting and implementing a specific backup strategy. Another consideration is the retention period, which defines the duration for which a business needs to retain the backup copies. Some data is retained for years and some only for few days. That is, suppose whenever in any business, whenever you sell a product, suppose the product has some warranty period. So till the warranty period expires, you have to maintain the data of that particular transaction. So therefore, some data is retained for years and some only for few days. For example, data backed up for archival is retained for a longer period than Data backed up for operational recovery, definitely. So the data which is backed up for longer period is going to be the archive data, and the data which is going to be backed up for operational recovery is going to be for a very short period. So it is also important to consider the backup media type based on the retention period and data accessibility. Backup considerations. So we have seen different backup considerations. So first consideration was based on RPO and RTO. Then let us see what are the other backup considerations. Organizations must also consider the granularity of backup explained later in this chapter. The development of a backup strategy must include a decision about the most appropriate time for performing a backup in order to minimize any disruption to production operations. So now the backup, suppose in the example which I mentioned, the data regarding the students, if this has to be backed up, so while backing up we have to wait till the admissions close for that particular academic year. So backup has to start only once the admissions for that academic year have been closed. Similarly, the location and time of the restore operation must be considered along with file characteristics and data compression that influences the backup process. Location, size and number of files should also be considered as they may affect the backup process. Definitely the location, size and number of files also should be considered whenever they are going to go for backup process. Location is an important consideration for the data to be backed up. Many organizations have dozens of heterogeneous platforms supporting complex solutions. Consider a data warehouse environment that uses backup data from many sources. So a data warehouse environment is going to use the backup data from very many sources, because the warehouse environment data is definitely going to be very huge and the data can be collected from various places. The backup process must address these sources in terms of transactional and content integrity. This process must be coordinated with all heterogeneous platforms on which the data resides. Definitely for warehouse environment, the data is going to reside on heterogeneous platforms and in various places. So the process has to take care from where and from which platform the data needs to be backed up and from where it is going to be accessed. So file size also influences the backup process. Backing up large size files may use less system resources than backing up an equal amount of data comprising a large number of small size files. Example, 10,000 files of 1 KB each. So if you are backing up a file, one file of 1 MB, that may take less system resources compared to backing up 1000 KB file of small sizes. So if you are going to back up small size files, then definitely the system resources are going to be more. The backup and restore operation takes more time when a file system contains many small files. Like file size, the number of files to be backed up also influences the backup process. For example, in incremental backup, a file system containing 1 million files with a 10% daily change rate will have to create almost 1 lakh entries in the database and information about the backup session. This large number of entries in the file system affects the performance of the backup and restore process because it takes a long time to search through a file system. So whenever there are more number of files, there definitely the number of entries in the file system also are going to increase. and because of this the backup and restore process becomes very tedious and it takes a long time to search through a file system. Backup performance also depends on the media used for the backup. The time consuming operation of starting and stopping in a tape based system affects backup performance, especially while backing up a large number of small files. If you are trying to back up large number of small files on a tape system, it is going to be more time consuming. So data compression is widely used in backup systems because compression saves space on the media. Many backup devices such as tape drives have built-in compression algorithms. To effectively use this, it is important to understand the characteristics of the data. Some data, such as application binaries, do not compress well. Text data does compress well, whereas other data, such as JPEG and zip files, are already compressed. Backup granularity depends on business needs and required RTO and RPO. Based on granularity, backups can be categorized as full, cumulative and incremental backups. So most organizations use a combination of these three backup types to meet their backup and recovery requirements. The three types of backups are full, cumulative and incremental. So most of the organizations are using combination of these three backup types. So the figure depicts the categories of backup granularity. Here you can see what do we mean by full backup. Cumulative or differential backup. This is full backup is completely you are going to back up that data after some time with constant time interval and it is going to be done only once, whereas in case of cumulative backup, even small data is going to be backed up every day. It is like backing up the data every day instead of doing it weekly. Here in full backup we are doing it weekly. Once in a week we are going to back up the entire data. But whereas in cumulative we are going to back up the data every day, whatever is the data on that day. So this shows the amount of data backup. Full backup is a backup of the complete data on the production volumes at a certain point in time. A full backup copy is created by copying the data on the production volumes Incremental backup copies the data that has changed since the last full or incremental backup, whichever has occurred more recently. So that is the difference between full backup and incremental backup. So this is much faster because the volume of data backed up is restricted to changed data, but it takes longer to restore. Cumulative or differential backup copies the data that has changed since the last full backup. This method takes longer than incremental backup, but restoring is faster in case of cumulative backup. So synthetic or constructed full backup is another type of backup that is used in implementations where the production volume resources cannot be exclusively reserved for a backup process for extended periods to perform a full backup. It is usually created from the most recent full backup and all the incremental backups performed after that full backup. A synthetic full backup enables a full backup copy to be created to be created offline without disrupting the I/O operation on the production volume. This also frees up network resources from the backup process, making them available for other production. Restore operations vary with the granularity of the backup. A full backup provides a single repository from which data can be easily restored. The process of restoration from an incremental backup requires the last full backup and all the incremental backups available until the point of restoration. A restore from a cumulative backup requires the last full backup and the most recent cumulative backup. So figure 12.2 illustrates an example of an incremental backup and restoration. So I think we will study restoring from incremental backup in the next class. So thank you. Hope you have understood business continuity plans and backup and recovery. What do you mean by full backup? Incremental backup and complementary backup. So thank you. The type of questions which can be asked on this chapter I would like to mention. To end with, I can say that the type of questions which can be asked for this is differentiate between RPO and RTO. Also they can ask you to define what do you mean by uptime and downtime of a system. You must also be able to tell various parameters of information availability and list the impact of downtime on what is the impact of downtime on business continuity planning. And also you must know how you calculate average downtime per hour and productivity loss per hour. So availability is expressed in terms of nines available. So you must know what is the relevance of these nines for availability. You will have to explain what is the relevance of nines for availability with an example. So what concerns do business continuity solutions address? How the failures are addressed with respect to business continuity, and what are primary purposes of backup? You must be also able to tell what are the primary purposes of backup and differentiate between disaster recovery and disaster restart. And also you must be able to tell what are the three primary purposes for backup. We have studied today what are the three primary purposes for backup. Describe the three major considerations of backup and recovery. So you must be able to describe the three major considerations of backup and recovery. So as the mic is not working, I will be continuing it in the next class. Thank you.